afternoon to all the visitors sitting here today. On behalf of Rajivika, which is the part of the National Rural Livelihood Mission of Government of India, the Government of Rajasthan runs this organization which is essentially formed by our self-help groups and our ladies who get together and show their skills and their ability at entrepreneurship. And some of our ladies are here today. This is their first visit here, and these are women who've come from villages from different parts of the state, and this is their first exposure to something like this. And the reason why we wanted them here and we wanted them to be a part of JLF is that the struggle that they embody and the kind of entrepreneurship that they have shown and the initiative that they have shown in coming out of their homes and not only showcasing their talent, their products, but also ensuring the economic empowerment of themselves, their families, and especially the girl child that is in their homes and in their families. So thank you so much to JLF for allowing us to be a part of this, and thank you for all those who are supporting us and who come here to listen to this, and a very big thank you to the organizers and the speakers today, and I hope that you can empathize and connect with the spirit in which these ladies have come today. Thank you so much.
I think the round of applause is not just for Shreya Guha ji, but it's also for all these women. ये तालियां इन सारी औरतों के लिए भी है जो यहाँ आई हैं, और हम बहुत आभारी हैं कि आप सब हमारे बीच में आई हैं. तो एक बार और जोरदार तालियां आप सबको. We want to tell you, हम आपको ये बताना चाहते हैं, हम सब मिलके we are very proud of you. Now moving on, we are delighted to introduce our next session, which is Legenda, the real women behind the myth. Yanina Ramesh in conversation with Narayani Basu. In Legenda, best-selling historian Professor Yanina Ramesh, author of Femina, peels back the layers of time to reveal how the lives of women have been co-opted by those intent on crafting national identities. Ramesh believes that celebrated medieval women like Joan of Arc, Lady Godiva, and Isabella Castilla have been misrepresented, their stories twisted and weaponized. Meanwhile, groundbreaking 18th and 19th century women who blazed a trail through revolutionary Europe have been forgotten, their legacies too easily dismissed or ignored. Questioning established narratives and researching for the real reason behind the legends, Ramirez interrogates what defines a nation and who gets to build it, shining a light on how history is so often hijacked to serve the ideological and political interests of the present. I would now like to introduce our brilliant speakers for this session. First we have on stage Yanina Ramesh. A big round of applause for her. She is a professor and a best-selling author of Oxford laureate, literate and award-winning documentarian. Her book Femina, A New History of the Middle Ages through the women written out of it, was an instant Sunday Times #1 bestseller. She will be discussing her new book, Legenda, the real women behind the myth that shaped Europe. Next we have Narayani Basu. A big round of applause for her. Narayani Basu is the best-selling author of V.P. Menon, The Unsung Architects of Modern India and Allegiance, Azadi and the End of Empire. A historian and foreign policy analyst, her current area of interest focuses on the less known but key players in the history of Indian independence. A Man for All Seasons, the biography of K.M. Panikkar, is her third book and has already garnered critical and popular acclaim. I now invite our esteemed speakers to begin the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. I am so excited to be here today. We're discussing a book that I find both incredibly cool and creepily relevant. So I'm going to get right to it. But before I get into the specifics, what I wanted to ask you, Irina, is everybody loves some period of history more than they love the other. And you're not just an academic, right? You're also a television presenter. But so what about the Middle Ages spoke to you the most that you felt that this is the period that I need to focus on?
Thank you for that excellent question. Thank you for having me here. And thank you to these remarkable women that have come along. I hope I can entertain you and say something that you can take back with you as well. But this is a remarkable opportunity to be able to talk to you about my new book. I am a medievalist, and that means I study that 1,000 years of history from about 500 CE through to about 1,500. That's a millennium of history. It's an awful lot, but we tend to sort of see it as a bridge between things, the ancient civilizations and then the modern world, and everything in between is dark and brutish and short and awful. I don't think that at all. I became really inspired by the literature. So I started off studying this dramatic poetry like Beowulf, which is alliterative and strong. And then I got really intrigued by the art of the period. And I think this is something that I still feel passionately about. We tend to talk about artworks as being paintings, sculptures, things in galleries.
Yeah.
But actually in the medieval period, much of it more of it is crafts. Yeah. Crafts working, creating things with your hands that are the finest things that hands can make. And as a medieval historian, I'm drawn to that, I'm drawn to the beauty of human creativity. And so, and also it's the underdog. I love a historical underdog. So that's why I'm a medievalist.
So in Legenda, you're sort of carrying on from Femina, which is your work preceding this. And in the conclusion of Femina, which is also the history of Middle Ages through women written out of it, in your conclusion also you've mentioned that the door is open for another book on the period. So I wanted to ask, who was the one woman who stood out to you in Femina that made you go like, okay, another book needs to be written on this subject?
That's an excellent question. Femina was an important book for me because I thought I was just saying the obvious. The obvious, which is women's histories have been erased and written out, and women's contributions to the past have been basically transformed over centuries to be almost non-existent. I thought that was obvious, but it seems it wasn't. But one figure that because I'm Polish-Irish, and I knew I wanted to write about a Polish woman. And in Poland there's this incredible figure, Jadwiga. Now she was known as King, not Queen, King Jadwiga. And she became a rallying point. When Poland didn't exist on a map for 180 years, her tomb in the cathedral, this tomb of a medieval woman, became a place where revolutionaries, thinkers, philosophers, they'd all come together and meet around this woman, around the remains of this woman. And I thought, well, maybe that's happened in other places. And the more I started to look, yeah, each nation has its legends, but they're not written up truthfully. So I wanted to get to the truth behind these women.
And I think, first of all, you've done a remarkable job of that, but you've also, and you've used this word in Legenda, you've used the word curated, which I found incredibly accurate almost, because this is a curated journey of sorts. And you've covered this vast swathe of history, you've covered this vast swathe of geography. I'm going to ask you 3 questions about this. And there are, I'm going to ask them slowly. But one, when you've used structure that you have in the Legenda, which is that you are contrasting medieval women with their more modern counterparts of the 18th and 19th centuries, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
2, how are you doing this? So what are the archives do you look at? Because you are somebody who enjoys looking at art, archaeology, and literature. So where do you go when you can't find women in text necessarily? And the third one is, who are the women who get left out? How do you say, okay, Isabella Castillo is more important than X?
Yeah, it's awful in a way, isn't it? Because I'm curating history like it's being curated for us. Okay, so I have a particularly strange way of writing, which my mind works a bit like a spider's web. And often I won't write a word of the book for maybe 6 months, 7 months. I'll just read, research, and percolate, and then these strange sort of connections start to form. I also am not a person who makes life easy for themselves. You know, I didn't write one biography about one person. I wrote 7 stories across over 1,000 years of history and across the whole of Europe, stretching out to India. And I think I see my position as a public historian as I only have one innings in this life. I have one chance to make an impact. And I'm going to use every book I have, every opportunity I have, to try and do something positive and affirmative. So I don't want to write any old book. I want to write something massive, something epic, something sweeping. And that's what I have done. But my goodness, it makes it hard for myself. In terms of curating it, yeah, you're so